All right, so we are back, and once again, I am fed up, confused, and baffled by the stupidity, irony, and full-on bullshit that is spewed by one Tommy Fury. And I'll get to exactly why in a second, but before I do, I just want to say, I told you guys so. I told you when Tommy Fury came into influencer boxing that he was someone that should not have been let into this game, because we have unfortunately now created a flaky tyrant, someone that holds a win over the two biggest stars in influencer boxing and continues to wield it around at his own pleasure like Antonio Brown at a resort in Dubai. If you get the reference, you get it. But my point is, Tommy Fury is once again on Twitter today just speaking absolute nonsense and talking out the side of his head as if anybody respects anything that he says. And I'm just getting tired of it. I'm getting tired of dealing with the Fury family and their continued lack of professionalism for anybody when it comes to Tommy's career throughout his career. And I'm frustrated because Tommy Fury, as everybody knows, pulled out of the Misfits fight on January 18th, and now it's starting to make more sense as to why. That doesn't help his case, and it almost makes it even worse, makes him look even more disrespectful and less professional than you already thought he was, and at the end, makes him look like someone that no one in influencer boxing should do business with. What do I mean? What just happened? The breakdown. Let's go. All right, so this morning, Tommy Fury hopped on his Instagram to tag Logan Paul and Jake Paul in a message, and we're going to have to go through all the responses and things he's talking about, but the text here says, "Why can't you just get over the loss?" And I guess that's like some sort of emoji, but listen to Tommy Fury. Reminder, he just pulled out of a fight with Darren Till less than a week ago under grounds that he was worried Darren Till would do anything other than abide by the boxing rule set, which was a complete farce, and everybody knew it. Today, we get a little bit more of a reason as to why Tommy pulled out, because he's selfish and lacks any sort of professionalism.
Right, so I've just woke up and seen Logan Paul talk on his podcast yet again about how I don't want to fight Jake and that I'm running scared. I seen Jake tweeting the other day about how he offered me X, Y, and Z on Netflix. I just wanted to come in here and say that no one's running from that fight. I beat you once already. I handed you your first loss. The minute you stepped up and fought a real boxer, you lost, fair and square. I can give you a second loss, that's not a problem, but let's talk some serious numbers down the phone. If you want to get in touch, you know where I am. It's as easy as that. I can come back after a year and beat the pair of you. So at the end of the day, if you want to fight, let's talk some serious numbers, you know where I am.
So there's Tommy responding to Logan and Jake. First off, I'll say this. Jake has come out a couple of different times in the last week, and we'll get to the tweets where he goes back into it, but he's come out in the last couple of weeks and said essentially what he quote tweeted on this video today. He said, "What an absolute Muppet. Buddy, you just pulled out of a fight for the third time." And he's right, by the way. We'll get to that in a second. He says, "You have zero credibility. I offered you $8 million and you ran away from it." So let's just stop there. $8 million. This was the rumored and continued to be said number that Jake Paul, an MVP, offered Tommy Fury to be on the Netflix card, which is an insane amount of money for Tommy Fury to have turned down. If he wanted to fight Jake, again, just taking Jake's word for this, I don't know that this is true, but if it is true, why in the blue hell would you turn down $8 million to fight Jake on Netflix? And granted, we still don't know of Tommy's ability to fight in the United States. Maybe this could have been done in some other location. I'm not exactly sure the finite details of this thing, because I'm pretty sure the Fury family is still not able to travel to the United States because of their, at least in the eyes of, I guess, the UK government, I'm not sure. They have some connections to the Kinahan gang, or at least some loose affiliations that don't allow them to come to America and put them on a no-fly list. But also, regardless of the issue there, Jake, knowing Tommy wouldn't travel to the United States and still offering him $8 million on Netflix, and Tommy walking away from that, makes him look like an idiot when he then comes back to cancel his fight with Darren Till, to then in his own way loosely call Jake out to a fight for probably far less money than the $8 million offered there, because of the eyes that Netflix was going to bring. I don't know how he doesn't realize this. Could it just be the people around? I don't know. It's just bad business. And again, when you mention bad business, you mention Tommy Fury's name because it seems to follow him wherever he goes. Then Jake goes on, "And you got dumped by Molly." Taking personal shots at him. Again, not really something I'm concerned about. Then he says, "And getting sued by DAZN and still can't call a shot without your dad. Get the f*** out of here." Getting sued by DAZN. I don't know anything about this. The only thing I would say, if I was to venture a guess as to what Jake meant by that, I would have to think it has something to do with this Darren Till fight. Maybe, I don't know. Like, can you just sign a contract that you're going to fight someone and then back out without any reason, any feasible reason at all, and not get sued for not honoring your contract? I don't know what else it could be outside of that. Like, DAZN suing him, in my opinion, if this is real, would have to do with the Darren Till fight. I don't, that's the only thing I can think of. So anyway, yeah, Jake had been saying that for a long time, and when Tommy Fury didn't fight Darren Till or backed out of the card over the most bogus reasons potentially ever that a fighter would say out of their mouths. Just for context, Tommy said he was afraid Darren was going to kick him in a boxing match or not abide by the Marcus of Queensberry rules, when Tommy himself was talking about how he was about to elbow KSI in their fight, because everybody jokes about that shit. No one with a brain thinks Darren Till would actually kick Tommy in the head and lose out on all his purse and potentially be arrested. But you also heard in this video Tommy say something else. Let's play it again.
Right, so I've just woke up and seen Logan Paul talking on his podcast yet again about how I don't want to fight Jake and I'm running scared.
He says, I heard Logan talking on his podcast that I don't want to fight Jake. Well, here's the clip that I assume Tommy heard from 5 days ago. Geriatric Mike, my guy, sitting with Logan and talking about a potential Tommy Fury Jake Paul fight.
He's got a plan. I'm gonna let him do that.
Oh, I didn't know if he did it on the show. They didn't talk about it at all?
Nah, I mean he's just hanging out at the moment. You know,
Would he fight Tommy Fury again?
Tommy won't fight Jake.
Really?
Bro.
Why? Because Jake's improved since they fought.
I was surprised when Tommy scraped away with that 1 point split decision W last time.
I feel like that's
to fight Jake.
I feel like that's the one. Like,
you know, when Logan says he's surprised that Tommy beat Jake last time, I don't know that he is like surprised that Jake didn't perform as well as he thought, or that Tommy wasn't as good as he thought. I'm not exactly sure. I can't speak for Logan there, but yeah, it was a split decision. But anyone that, in my opinion, that watched that fight and actually thought it was a split decision is incorrect. That fight was not a close fight to me. Tommy clearly won that fight. So it does honestly feel a little odd to me that Tommy wouldn't accept Jake's rematch, like when it was offered. And again, apparently, according to Jake, it was offered to Tommy. I'm not sure on the details, but it's just odd. Why would you not take the rematch, then go into this fight with Darren Till, and then again, and this is just my opinion, clearly use the whole head kick thing as an excuse because you and your pops got punked on stage by Darren Till, to get out of it, to potentially find a way to get in talks with Jake Paul for a rematch again? I don't understand it. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And again, I almost anticipate that of the Furies because they don't do a lot of things that makes a ton of business sense right away. They make things very, very, very difficult, not just on the person they're fighting, but on themselves. So this whole thing's baffling to me because it just doesn't make any sense for Tommy to do. He's hurting himself business-wise by not taking the $8 million that Jake apparently offered him to be on the Netflix card, to then make a whole mockery of this Misfits card coming up, potentially get sued by DAZN, and then go put it out there that you're ready for a Jake Paul rematch whenever, if the numbers are right. What the fuck are we talking? Guy's a goof.
He doesn't give a fuck, dude. Like, look at what he just did. He doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Granted, if Tommy's man enough one day and he wants to fight Jake again, which, you know, for the right amount of money, maybe he'll do it. That would be awesome. And I know Jake would like that opportunity, but like he doesn't need it.
This is a good point from Logan too, and this is something I want to talk about in a second. Tommy has overvalued himself into believing that he is in some way the top guy in this scene because he beat Jake and KSI. And on a competition level, sure, Tommy is the top guy in this scene. But the problem is he's not the big boss he thinks he is. He is only a name because of other people. And I hate to say that, but it's just, it's the truth. Like, Tommy's last name, because it's attached to Tyson Fury, is probably one of the major reasons he had the opportunity to be on Love Island. On Love Island, him and Molly May, and apparently, according to people I speak to, Molly May is far more popular than Tommy Fury is, elevated his popularity. Having that Tyson Fury name and then getting into the pro boxing scene somewhat, and then taking the Jake Paul fight after never selling out an arena, never filling up a crowd, never performing on pay-per-view, gave him upwards of 800,000 pay-per-view buys with Jake Paul. Turns around in the prime card with another monster name in KSI and does 1.1 million. Tommy has never been the draw. He's never been the guy. He is the guy because Jake and KSI wanted to prove themselves against someone. And Tommy had a good record. He's overvalued who he is, and you've seen with Jake and Mike Tyson. You've seen with KSI and anybody else. They can draw numbers without Tommy. They can do things and change the business without him. If there's anybody that can be left out in the cold here and it not affect influencer boxing going forward, it is Tommy Fury. As much as I will sit here and say, yeah, I would love to see Jake rematch Tommy or KSI rematch Tommy because those are competitive fights. You know what fight I'd want more than a Jake versus Tommy rematch? You know what fight we need more than a KSI Tommy rematch? This scene needs KSI and Jake Paul. It doesn't need Tommy Fury. That is the mega fight. Tommy is serving as someone for both guys to test themselves against. But the real challenge, the real fight, the real grudge match, the real war, the real ending to this whole thing is KSI Jake. The rest of it is just filler time, and Tommy is that to this scene.
And for Tommy Fury, a man in a boxing family, to act like him beating a YouTuber in a split decision by 1 point is any sort of massive victory is just pathetic to me. And if he were actually about it and wanted to prove that he is the real boxer, he'd fight Jake again.
Why doesn't he want to? See, also what you just said right there, I will say this. You can't interchange Jake as a boxer and a YouTuber for sake of whatever direction you're trying to go.
Do you know what I'm saying?
That's a great point for Mike, because Tommy deserves to celebrate a win, right? Granted, you can say he should have beaten Jake or he should have beaten KSI, but in the context of what he's doing, trying to get a fight with Jake, that's exactly how you promote a fight with Jake. Is like, I beat you the first time. Honestly, I beat you in a fight that wasn't close, and I'll do it again because I am the real professional boxer and you're a YouTuber. Is that necessarily true of Jake right now? Like, no, he's a pro boxer now. KSI has moved into boxing now. So yes, you know, contextually it makes Tommy look bad, but using that crutch of Jake being a YouTuber is far past its expiration date. Like, Jake can't be looked at and overlooked because he did YouTube as a consistent YouTuber in 2016 to 2018. Like, that is so far past the point we're at right now, and Jake is now a boxer. So yes, he deserves the credit of it, but you can't then take that credit away to make Jake look less, to bring Tommy down a little. Like, I get what Logan's trying to do, and maybe that's because Tommy even said that he's a YouTuber, and Tommy said if KSI was competitive in a fight with him that he would retire. Shocker, he didn't do that. But at the end of the day, Tommy won. And that's, if you want to do the rematch, how you have to go into it. That's what happened. So yeah, he deserves the credit for winning. He deserves the credit for performing, all that. It's just the way Tommy is doing business right now makes him look like a complete and utter dumbass. Because do I believe Tommy is like afraid to fight Jake Paul again? No, I don't believe that. I believe that the Fury family is ridiculously tough to do business with. And specifically, when John Fury has a stranglehold on what the business dealings are, he's going to make it as insufferable as possible. And again, when you want to talk about credibility and you want to talk about fighters doing what they say they will do, or, you know, honoring their word and their commitments when they sign on the dotted line, Tommy is just not someone that has any of that. I'll agree with Jake there. Like, Tommy's credibility is shot, especially after the pullout of Darren Till. But when you add in the fact that now it's almost clear what the agenda was about the pullout, because Tommy is now calling Jake out and calling Logan out. And not only that, guess who? Big John Fury, aka the head of the Fighting Fury Clan, is coming out on video just after Tommy releases this Instagram video calling Jake and Logan out, saying that he himself, at the ripe old age of 59, wants to now box Logan Paul on the undercard of Jake and Tommy, a fight that's not set up, a fight that Tommy turned down. Again, we'll get to the fact that he also pulled out of that fight multiple times before they fought the first time. It makes this whole thing look like a circus show. And again, it kind of shows their hand as to what they did to Misfits and to DAZN by pulling out of the Darren Till fight with no actual reason for it. They pulled out to try to get the Jake Paul fight, or to try to get a Logan Paul fight, or to try to get a fight with both of them consecutively, or however they're trying to do this. It's clear at this point. Listen to John Fury.
This is a message to Logan Paul. You keep going on about saying Tommy don't want to fight your brother. Here's one for you, my friend. He does want to fight your brother. And I'll tell you what else. I will fight you on the undercard as soon as possible. SAP.
Damn it, John, why are you so funny? He said as soon as possible, SAP. So yeah, there he goes. He offers to fight Logan Paul on the undercard of Tommy and Jake. But what? Why? Who gives a what? Who's asking for John Fury to fight Logan Paul in big 2024? The answer is nobody. And again, it just shows you that John has to insert himself into every single thing that Tommy's involved in, make it about himself in some way, and again, just has all the fingerprints of a John Fury move to pull his son out of a Darren Till fight to try to get him back in there with Jake. Honestly, the way it's looking more and more now, it looks like Tommy wanted no parts of Darren Till. But anyway, he goes on for another minute here. I hope there's at least one drop of a cat weasel or bending girls over or something.
You know, because I'm sick of people going on saying, I won't do this and I won't do that. I will show you what I'll do. You know, Tommy will fight your brother as early as end of February or end of January, and I'll fight you on the undercard. You know, you're a lot younger man than me, we know that. You're a 15-stone man, but I won't do as other fighters do. I will let my punches go at you. You know, I'm sick of...
He's actually talking like anyone, like he's gonna fight anyone. Shut up! Like, what are you talking about? He has seen that Jake fought Mike Tyson, and he genuinely believes that his name value, that anything he would bring to a fight is worth a fight. He thinks he's on the same level name recognition wise as a Mike Tyson. And he saw that Jake fought Mike. He thinks he's anywhere near the fighter that Mike Tyson was at this point. The way he's talking about himself. Like, yeah, everybody says I won't fight. Well, I'll do it because Mike did it. John, you're not him. You've never been him. Respect to you for creating Tyson Fury, one of the greatest heavyweights, but you are not that. No one thinks you're that. No one's asking you to fight.
There'll be critics saying I won't do this, I won't do that, I'm a coward. I'll show you how much of a coward I am. I will fight you anywhere in the world except America on your brother and...
I will fight you anywhere in the world except America. There it is. I mean, again, because of his, I guess, still loose connection with the Kinahan clan, the only fight John apparently can't win is the one with the UK government and their no-fly list that he continues to be on. It's all so dumb, man. It's so dumb. I don't get it. Again, maybe this is the big stick-up with the Jake and Tommy fight, is that they don't want to do it in the UK because Jake is a bigger star here in America than he is maybe in the UK. But again, they had a fight in Manchester, in their backyard with Darren Till that they could have taken. Why would you throw that away? Guaranteed money, and probably a good amount of it, to potentially get a fight with Jake, potentially try to go into negotiations if you're not the primary focus of what Jake Paul is doing. Jake has talked over the last 7-8 months about what he wants to do next. Tommy Fury has not been in those conversations, at least not anytime Jake is asked a question about it. Post-fight, he's talking about Canelo. He's talking about winning a world championship. Again, I would like to have seen Jake fight Tommy Fury. I think because of how competitive Jake is, that he wants that fight. But apparently it was already offered. And they said, no, what's different now? He's talking about fighting in the end of January. And I know that Tommy had the hand surgery, and maybe that's the thing that pushed him away from it. But again, you're healthy now, healthy enough to fight in mid-January like you said you were. Maybe it was the hand surgery Tommy had. But I'm pretty sure that was done with far before the November rescheduled date. Again, I don't know the timeline here, but this is John's main character syndrome. It's crazy.
Get back to me, my man, if you're interested. I will fight you, Logan Paul. And I will throw punches at you. I will let my hands go. I won't shit myself. I'll let me fucking hands go.
He is 59 years old. He might actually shit on himself. I don't know if you can control your bowels that well at that age. He might actually poop.
So if you want to, and you're interested, let me know. I'll fight you on your brother on Tommy's undercard, wherever it may be in the world.
You say I'll fight your brother on Tommy's undercard, wherever it may be in the world. I don't know if he's talking to Logan or Jake. Oh, my God. There is John Fury. Apparently, oh, God, Logan responded and said start training. No. You know what? I would love the press conferences. I can't lie. I would love the press conferences. But please, God, no. We don't need to see Big John Fury trying to rake eyeballs out of their skulls in a boxing ring. Or maybe we do, but maybe not just against Logan Paul. Bring Big Joe Egan back and have him fight him. But anyway, that's kind of where this thing ends, and that's where we're at. Yeah, I really don't have any words for this other than what the is wrong with the Furies. They are the most unprofessional team of people that is allowed to exist in influencer boxing and main event in this space. And I told you guys from the rip, it was a bad idea letting this man in, not because he doesn't have a place here, but because he isn't the star of a Jake Paul, of a KSI. And influencer boxing was meant to be about stars risking something, putting something on the line, their massive followings as they build their boxing career. And Tommy he wasn't that level of star. He didn't have people caring about him fighting until Jake was attached, until KSI was attached. And those two were and are the biggest names in this space, and they're the real fight that actually needs to happen, because neither of them need Tommy Fury. He's acting as though they do. And again, as a fan of wanting to see both of them right their wrongs, sure, I will admit that I would like to see both Jake and KSI, or one of the two, or however it's going to work, rematch Tommy. But not when it's going to be this teeth-pulling process. And I truly mean that, because you guys may think I'm underestimating when I say that Tommy is unprofessional, but I'm not. And if you don't believe me, I'll just run down the quote tweet that I provided earlier in the day when Tommy went on Instagram talking this absolute nonsense about fighting Jake Paul when he just pulled out of a fight less than a week ago. I said Tommy made this acting like he didn't just pull out of a fight less than a week ago, after already pulling out of the Jake fight twice. If you guys remember, he pulled out of the Jake fight. They were originally supposed to box. I think it was December of 2021. citing a broken rib that I don't know that we ever got confirmation of an actual broken rib, but a rib injury. I think it was less than a month before that fight. It was when Tyron Woodley had to fill in on short notice and fight Jake. Jake gets the knockout and it propelled him further. Then, in one of the more baffling situations, and one that shows the complete lack of professionalism, preparation, and just any idea as to what they're doing business-wise, Tommy and Jake are supposed to fight again later the next year, and Tommy pulls out because he learns all of a sudden he's not allowed to fly to the United States, again, less than a month before the fight, because of this ban imposed on his family they already knew about for Tyson and Big John, but somehow all of a sudden they didn't know about Tommy until he tried to leave and go to the United States. Lack of preparation, lack of professionalism to not know, hey, maybe we should think about the fact that Tommy might not be able to travel before we sign a contract saying we're going to travel to the United States and fight Jake Paul. That's 2 pullouts, absolutely destroyed that event. They tried to remake it, I think, with Asim Rahman, and then that didn't go through, so the event completely had to be canceled. Tommy just wastes millions and millions of dollars in preparation and location fees and disappoints all of the pay-per-view providers and everybody involved with that event based on the Fury family malfeasance and John and Tommy not knowing what the they're doing. And how about the time when he held Misfits ransom when he was supposed to fight KSI? They'd signed a contract, and then Tommy said, well, no, I want more money. We're going to demand more money before we fight KSI. So not only what he was contracted, obligated to make, which was a hefty number from what I heard, $1 million plus, he decided he needed even more. And if he didn't get it, he was not going to fight KSI. He was going to pull out of that one. So essentially, he held up the promotion and the distributor, DAZN Misfits, once again. And eventually, they said yes, okay, and got the deal done like professionals would to save their card, or else Tommy probably would have pulled out on them. How about the lesser-known one that I was actually there in person for when he fought Paul Bamba on the, I fucking forgot the promotion, Titan something, Global Titan. The dude purposely missed weight, just stopped cutting weight. I watched as he sat there and John argued with the promoters over the fact he wasn't going to keep cutting weight and they wanted to fight at what they wanted to fight at. And I watched Paul Bamba rightfully be like, no, I'm fighting you at the weight we were contracted. By the way, Paul Bamba made weight, true professional. He's been fighting his ass off, training his ass off. I think he's got something like 15, 16 wins. He's been rattling them all off this year, fighting for another belt coming up. Kudos to him. And instead, the promoter, because they feared their one big star outside of Deji and Floyd Mayweather leaving their card, decided to keep Tommy on, pacify the Furies like the babies they are in these little negotiation issues and just flying off the rail at any little inconvenience. They tossed Paul Bamba off the card because Paul wouldn't fight him at a weight that wasn't fair and gave Tommy a shoe-in sideshow fight that myself and Jake Paul watched and the world did as well, knowing it wasn't a real fight. And speaking of seriously, that's what I put at the end of this tweet. At some point, you have to ask why we even take Tommy Fury serious. Why do we? Is it the fact that we believe our influencers need to go and get their win back over Tommy for them to be anything in this scene? Like, okay, yeah, it's nice for story purposes and, you know, for Jake to want to grab the world title like he says, to go and get that win back over Tommy Fury, for KSI to avenge the one loss on his career and, you know, to right the only wrong, I guess, in his arc, to go and fight Tommy Fury. But they don't need to do that. They need to fight each other. They need to create big events and these big moments that they can do without him. So if the Furies continue acting like clowns and acting unprofessionally and just completely tanking events and then scurrying away like nothing happened just to pop back up a couple of days later and act like they're the draw and they call the shots here, why even entertain it? Why don't we treat Tommy like my Uncle Chael does and start calling him Will Fury, because he is willfully making an ass out of himself every time he pops back on the scene and acts as though we're going to get a fight. There's always some issue. There's always some clownery, and the circus continues to go on and on and on. So I guess I'll end it there. I honestly was pumped to see Tommy Fury and Darren Till. It was a fun fight. There was a good history there. In fact, that would be a fight I'd like to see, but I can't trust Tommy or John to take themselves and any business they do seriously enough to do it right and not have some sort of underhanded tactics or just make fools out of themselves to the point where no one can take any of their words seriously. And ironically enough, Tommy, who thinks he holds all the cards, holds absolutely none of them. Jake doesn't need him. KSI doesn't need him. Boxing doesn't need him. No one does. And if he doesn't have those two guys, or Logan Paul, who also doesn't need him, he doesn't really have anyone else. So yeah, that's where we're at. Another baffling move from the Fury family, diminishing Tommy's name. John not seeing that every time he interjects himself into things, he completely diminishes Tommy's name. Tommy diminishing his own name by just talking out of both sides of his mouth and not making any sense as to the reasons he does things or doesn't do them. It's hard to keep taking him seriously. I don't know what happens next. I don't know if this is some angle where Jake and Tommy are talking back and forth to make a fight. At this point, I think Jake and their team is probably done talking to Tommy too, and they don't take him very seriously. I think you've kind of burnt that bridge with Misfits now too, and DAZN is apparently suing Tommy. Again, I don't know the legitimacy of that, but how many times has he ruined some of their events, whether it was Jake or KSI? Do they even take him seriously? Do they even give his word any sort of meaning now? Like, you're burning bridges left and right, and eventually you're going to be on an island all by yourself. I think that's where Tommy Fury's headed, but you guys let me know in the comments down below. I think this is an absolute disgrace. I think Tommy and John have jumped the absolute shark here, and I honestly don't think they even understand it yet. But what happens with Tommy wanting to fight Jake and Logan, with Big John Fury wanting to fight Logan, and does anyone even give them the chance to do that again? Like I said, for the competition aspect, it would be fun, but neither of them need it, and that's what Tommy doesn't realize. Will he ever? Don't have those answers, but I guess we'll find out.